In his past life, his childhood friend actually stole a love letter meant for him. A letter from the gorgeous school beauty he was secretly crushing on. Because of that interference, he completely missed their date, and tragically, she lost her life in a terrible traffic accident. His friend hid that exact letter for 12 whole years, and even when he finally found it, zero guilt, none at all. Driven to absolute despair, he stepped off the 44th floor right in front of her. But when his eyes snap open again, he is somehow right back before his college exams. This time around, he is absolutely determined to protect his girl properly. But pay attention to this wild twist. His childhood friend takes a totally different path this time. Once that pink love letter with the little kitten sticker from BCH the CM shows up on his desk, he knows everything has shifted. Back in his previous life, his childhood friend Thivian actually caught BCH the CM secretly, slipping that letter into his desk drawer. She opened it herself and saw the CM asking him out that night. They were supposed to discuss applying to universities in the exact same city, assuming he would purposely bomb his exams to match the CM's average grades. Thivian arrogantly snatched the letter. She fully intended to hand it over only after the tests were completely finished. She justified it to herself, claiming she could not let his 12 years of hard studying go to waste. But tragically, that terrible mistake led to the CM losing her life while waiting endlessly at their meeting spot. Meanwhile, that precious letter stayed buried by Thivian forever. Her second pathetic excuse was being terrified that seeing the letter would just break his grieving heart. 12 years after losing the CM, the letter accidentally dropped out while he was helping Thivian move to a new place. Under his furious questioning, Thivian totally broke down and confessed everything about that ruined date from years ago. She even had the nerve to sound completely righteous, claiming she only did it for his own good, that only she knew the real truth. How incredibly hard he had worked. Did he really expect her to just watch him walk down the wrong path? She spoke as if ruining their relationship was somehow saving him from a sea of absolute misery. He felt completely exhausted, realizing the person he clung to for survival these past 12 years was the exact same one who completely destroyed his entire life. Forgiving Thivian was impossible, and forgiving himself? Definitely not a chance. Locking himself away, he read that tragically delayed letter over and over again. He just kept picturing the CM writing it so carefully, even hesitating over which cute little sticker to pick out. The very last day of his life was incredibly beautiful. He just sat right by the window, watching Thivian lead people to aggressively smash down his front door. She cautiously approached him, apologizing over and over again. But his final words? Just telling Thivian how much he missed the CM. The very last thing he saw was the deep blue sky. Those white clouds looked exactly like the blue and white dress that the CM absolutely loved the most. He closed his eyes, expecting a harsh impact, but instead felt like he was falling through soft clouds. Snapping his eyes open, that familiar school bell is ringing right in his ears. He just wakes up sitting at his desk. His classmate, the sports rep, checking a mirror, catches his eye and jokes about the top student falling asleep during break time. Looking down at his school uniform, he snatches the mirror to stare at his own fresh 18-year-old face. Suddenly, a massive crash echoes from the complete opposite side of the room. Boom! Turning around purely on instinct, he sees Thivian sitting on the floor, pale as a ghost next to an overturned chair. Worried classmates are quickly gathering around her. You can probably guess what's happening right now. Just before she can lock eyes with him, he ducks his head, pretending to study. Without a single doubt, he has just regressed back to his senior year. Checking the countdown board, the exams are tomorrow, and the CM is fated to crash tonight. All because of a letter he never received. Watching Thivian get helped to the infirmary, his heart feels strangely calm, almost dead silent. It is hard to say he feels zero hatred, but getting a second life? He just wants to reach that promised future with the CM. Nothing else really matters now. When lunch break finally hits, he and the CM are both off-campus students. They usually grab food together and find a spot to study. In his past life, right after eating, a friend dragged him away to clean the dorms. Originally wanting to refuse, the CM herself told him to cherish this last day with friends, saying they still had their whole long lives together. She stood by the school building, smiling as she sent him off. He figures that was exactly when she slipped the letter into his desk. This time around, he refuses to miss that letter, and he will not disappoint his friends either. He actively takes the lead, asking the CM to meet tonight at their usual spot. She completely freezes, looking both shocked and thrilled by how perfectly in sync they are. Just as he is about to drop a hint about whether she has something to give him, his friend's phone call suddenly interrupts them. The XCM just smiles and repeats that they have their whole lives ahead. Meanwhile, he sprints to the dorms at top speed, accepting the good luck wishes from his old friends once again. Still, his mind keeps constantly worrying about that letter, so he excuses himself for a quick minute. Sprinting desperately back to the classroom, he finds it totally empty, but that pink letter is still sitting perfectly intact on his desk. He feels pretty surprised, thinking he just beat Thevien by one single step. That is, until the afternoon homeroom, when Thevien suddenly asks him out of nowhere about his specific plans for tonight. Seeing no reaction from him, she pushes further, asking if he plans to rest early before tomorrow's exams, or if he has something else going on. This incredibly probing question immediately sparks a pretty wild suspicion in his mind. I calmly reply that I have a date with XCM tonight. Sure enough, her eyes flash with pure contempt, and a mocking smile pulls at her lips. Is that so? She asks. You two are so in love that even this massive exam cannot stop you from rushing to each other. Her tone sounds exactly like she is looking at totally hopeless trash. Right at this moment, I know for sure Thevien has also reincarnated. In our past life, she gave me this exact same look the day she laid all her cards on the table. Is an uneducated fox really worth yearning over for so many years? Did you ever stop to think if you would have achieved today's success if she was still here? She always stands on her high horse, judging everyone else with absolute black and white labels. Even without speaking a single word to the XCM for 3 years, she still calls her a walking disaster. I do not argue further, just playing dumb and smiling back with a simple thank you. You can clearly see how strong our bond is. That evening, right after dinner, I arrive at our meeting spot a bit early to wait for the XCM. When I see her running toward me in that blue and white tie-dye dress, my nose stings, and I almost burst right into tears. I pull her tightly into my arms, holding onto the precious treasure I once lost and have finally found again. She has no idea what is wrong, but does not push back, just gently patting my back and whispering that she is right here. I have not forgotten this place. Something bad is about to happen here later, so I take the XCM by the hand, strolling and calmly discussing college instead. Completely opposite to what Thevien thinks, the XCM never forced me to attend the same school. Our promise is just to head to the exact same city together. Meanwhile, I have always kept my sights set on the most prestigious university. In reality, BGH the XCM is the one making a huge compromise for my sake. She chose to find a college within the borders of City A, making that her ultimate goal to strive for. After we carefully weighed all our options and went through a really strict selection process, we finally decided to choose a perfectly ordinary college, located just about a 1-hour drive away from the prestigious university I am aiming for. At the exact time we made that big decision, BGH the XCM was scoring nowhere near that school's admission threshold. So, we spent absolutely all of our free time sitting together, reviewing every single subject and carefully filling in her knowledge gaps. We stroll down these quiet streets, sharing beautiful visions of our future life together. That is the brand new life we had promised each other a very long time ago. Right when it is time to part ways, she dives straight into my arms, looking up with eyes shining bright like stars, holding absolutely nothing but my reflection. Honestly, she softly admits, she is still incredibly nervous. She says even though her third mock exam scores guarantee she will pass, this is still the massive college entrance exam. Since childhood, she has heard people compare it to thousands of troops and horses crossing a single log bridge. She is so scared she might underperform today. That is exactly why she wanted to see me, to hear about our future plans, because for her, that is simply the absolute best calming medicine. I lower my head and give her a sweet kiss, then watch closely until she goes inside and locks the door. She stands right by the window, waving goodbye to me. Now pay close attention to this shift. A warm light completely illuminates that small window. Truthfully, before really getting to know BGH the XCM, I only knew her through the wild rumors surrounding our beautiful school idol. BGH the XCM and I share no classes. She maintains perfectly average grades, but possesses absolutely stunning looks. And with her naturally enthusiastic and free-spirited vibe, she is always the absolute top choice for hosting any of our major school events. Quite a few teachers feel that her pursuing an arts and talent path would guarantee a much brighter future than simply sticking to standard academic studies. But BGH the XCM turns them all down. It is not because she just loves studying so incredibly much, but simply because the insanely high tuition and special training fees for art students are way beyond what a poor kid who grew up eating charity meals from 100 different households could ever possibly afford. In our classmates' gossiping mouths, she is the woman of a dangerous gang leader, totally free to hang around pizza parlors and smoky gaming arcades. And she is constantly seen with various shady older men tagging along beside her. She purposefully tailored her school uniform a bit shorter, boldly showing off her pretty, pale ankles, to all the teenage boys buzzing with endless energy that is seen as a completely intentional, calculated seduction. Meanwhile, to the naive, unworldly girls, she is just an absolute, strange weirdo. She is even loudly rumored to have deeply improper affairs with the young teachers in school, just to scrape by with average grades. So despite her completely normal scores, some people still confidently claim she only earned them by sleeping around. These wildly inappropriate, lustful rumors are eagerly gossiped about by excited 16 and 17-year-old kids. Everyone speaks as if they witnessed it with their own two eyes, even adding deeply imaginative and crazy details. When I first heard these wild rumors, I honestly did not care at all. People always try to cover things up with those tired old sayings. You know, allies only land on cracked eggs, or one hand just cannot clap. But reality proves them wrong. Dead wrong. A single hand can actually make a really loud noise. It was the summer of my junior year, right on my very own birthday. I was so full of joy, just anxiously waiting for this super rare reunion for our family of 3. But a single phone call from my dad easily wrecked everything I worked so hard to set up. My parents started arguing fiercely again, just throwing harsh blame at each other. Once that fake, cozy little illusion was completely ripped apart, I just turned and ran away from home. The very first time I ran into BCH the CM, I was completely lost. She was heading out to a pizza joint, holding 2 liquor bottles. How exactly did our top academy student get lost around here? She teased. That cold drink in her hand was still dripping wet. She leaned in close with this bright smile, sounding just like an old friend. I just nodded, and for the very first time in my life, I stepped inside a pub. I honestly had no idea who she was at that moment. It was only when she introduced herself that I realized. So this is what the main character of all those wild rumors actually looks like. BCH the CM could easily stroll in and out of the pizza place and arcade whenever she wanted, all because she was helping deliver food for her aunt's little diner. She took me on a quick tour around the place. The heavy smell of smoke, sweat, and all the loud shouting really made me frown. She did not mind it at all though, just smiling brightly while collecting the food money. The locals hanging around there clearly knew her super well. They casually asked about her recent test grades, constantly reminding her to study hard so she could become successful and make it big one day. That rumor about her being some mob boss's girl was total garbage. She was clearly more like the adopted daughter of all these hardworking locals. After handing the collected cash over to her aunt, she guided me toward the bus stop, saying she wanted to see me off home. But right then, my stubborn side suddenly kicked in, and I absolutely refused to go back. BCH the CM was incredibly patient, never asked why, just smoothly changed the subject. Let me show you around this area instead, she offered. She took me walking through that little urban village, just chatting away the whole time. Almost every single person who walked past us greeted her warmly. I was genuinely blown away by her insane social skills right then. She did not even care and just brushed it off. It is not about social skills, she said. It is just because when I was little, I was always around. I crashed their dinners every day. That is when I learned eating from 100 homes was actually real. We walked until we reached the bus stop. You have to love this moment. Looking at the board, she casually asked which station was mine. I stubbornly refused to answer, treating me entirely like a kid. She dug into her pocket and pulled out a lollipop. She stuffed it into my hand. Just take the bus home this time, she said. Next time you will know the way to find me. Whenever you run away. The second time I visited that urban village was late at night. I ended up catching the very last bus there. Standing at the stop, I called the phone number BCH the CM had given me earlier. She brought me to her place, letting me sleep on her bedroom floor. When I woke up the next morning, she walked me out to the station. No questions asked at all. No matter when I called, she always came out to the bus stop to get me. Until one massive stormy day, her phone completely stopped connecting. I stood helplessly at the station, not knowing what to do, when she suddenly appeared right in front of me, holding an umbrella. I found out later her deadbeat father had suddenly returned and snatched her phone to sell. Deeply worried I might show up unannounced, she had been checking the bus stop every single half hour just to look for me. Ever since that day, I stopped making her pick me up and started going straight to her house or the diner myself. The locals in the neighborhood slowly got used to my face, exchanging warm greetings whenever we crossed paths. During the National Day holiday that year, I accidentally bumped into BCH the XM's father. He froze for a quick second before flashing this incredibly creepy smile. "Daughter, this guy looks new. Is he your classmate?" he asked. BCH the XM refused to answer and just shoved me inside the room. Her father raised his voice with this shady tone. "Do not be shy now," he mocked. "Your mother and I were already fooling around at this age. So, how is my lovely daughter treating you? Is she worth $1,000? That flimsy wooden door could not block out much sound at all. His loud, disgusting laughter echoed right through it. I saw BCH the XM clenching her fists, her whole body shaking completely. Like something possessed me, I reached out and firmly covered her ears. She stared at me blankly, then raised her hands to cover my ears too. We just stood there looking foolish in that room, locking eyes, carefully protecting each other from the noise. We did not even notice when BCH the XM's father finally left. The living room was completely trashed, unable to find any cash at all. That man stole the audio player. BCH the XM used to practice her English listening skills. That day, BCH the XM opened up about her late mother and gambling father, while I finally talked about my own family's endless arguing for the very first time. This is the turning point, I promise you. That exact day, we swore to run away together to a new city and start a completely fresh life. The college entrance exams arrived right on schedule. BCH the XM had survived, walking straight into that testing room, taking her very first steps toward that brand new life. When the English exam finally ended, the results of 12 exhausting years of test prep were basically set in stone. BCH the XM and I proudly held hands walking down the street, passing by a flower shop and immediately buying each other a nice bouquet. I went with BCH the XM to her aunt's place to grab her phone. Her method of quitting screen time was literally forcing someone else to hold on to it. And that is exactly why she could never get in touch with me during our previous life. That evening, I got a call from Theven's mom, inviting me out to dinner to celebrate finally finishing our big college exams. "Can I bring my girlfriend along?" I asked. Thee's mom must have been seriously startled by that. She spaced out for a moment before finally answering back. "Of course. Lin Shu is all grown up now, even getting a girlfriend," she teased. Beside me, BCH the XM was actually looking pretty nervous. I had told her before that during all those years, my parents constantly argued. It was Thee's mom who took me in and cared for me. We were neighbors back then, which is how Theven and I originally met, making us pretty much classic childhood sweethearts from the very start. Later on, the Twa family moved away, and I lost my safe haven. But I always held a deep gratitude for Mother Twa. Honestly, this whole thing feels exactly like meeting the parents. I'm so incredibly nervous. Bok Thuk Cam chats away while changing into her favorite blue gradient flowing dress. She even borrows some makeup from the arcade owner for a really light, pretty look. But when we get to the Twa house, the person opening the door is Twa Van. She gives Bok Thuk Cam this intensely judgmental look from head to toe. And the moment she spots our hands tightly intertwined, she just lets out this completely cold, mocking little smirk. The second we step inside, Thuk Cam leans in and whispers right in my ear. "Did you do something to upset her?" I just look at her, completely amused. Why would I upset her? I barely even know the girl, so there is no reason I could make her mad out of nowhere. Bok Thuk Cam argues her point pretty strongly, but I just smile and stay quiet. She just doesn't realize that some people can deeply hate a total stranger for absolutely no reason, acting out of pure, unearned arrogance. Anyway, during dinner, Mother Twa and Bok Thuk Cam are chatting happily. They really hit it off. Auntie keeps bringing up all my embarrassing childhood stories without stopping. I just sit there laughing along, chiming in every now and then. But Twa Van, completely silent, just glaring at me and Thuk Cam with this incredibly scornful, calculating look. Eventually, the conversation shifts over to our academic scores. Mother Twa suddenly asks, "So Tiu Cam, how did you do today? Are you confident about getting into your dream school?" Bok Thuk Cam just smiles confidently, looking so incredibly determined. She says it went pretty well, feeling like she did even better than on her third mock exam. Even though Mother Twa has no clue what those mock scores were, she is genuinely happy for her. But right then, Twa Van, sitting nearby, suddenly lets out a cold, sharp laugh. "Hey Emph, what is the difference between vocational school and college anyway?" That one single sentence makes the whole room go completely stiff. Mother Twa stares at her daughter in shock, barely understanding the sudden outburst of anger, and quickly tries to change the subject. What about you, Lam Thu? I remember you wanting university since you were little. Feeling confident? I tell her it went pretty well. Getting into university will not be a problem. My completely confident answer makes Tuavan frown, muttering something under her breath about me just lying to myself. Her voice isn't loud, but all four of us sitting there hear it perfectly clear. Mother Tua just knits her brows at her daughter. She sees Tuavan staring at me with an absolutely icy face. Our eyes lock, and I calmly take in all that rigid, bitter contempt staring right back at me. Mother Tua calls out Van Van's name, and she finally rolls her eyes and looks away. Mom, stop asking. What if someone is just puffing up their chest to look tough? They will lose face entirely when the scores actually drop. Saying that, Tuavan stands right up and storms off. Mother Tua looks at us so apologetically. She says she is incredibly sorry. Lam Thu, Tiu Cam. Van Van is just in a really bad mood today. I will make her apologize personally once she calms down. Bok Thuk Cam waves it off, saying it's fine. Then we both stand up to say goodbye to Mother Tua. And the payoff? Once the college results drop, Bok Thuk Cam and I feel completely relieved, confidently applying to our target schools. With our free time, we take driving lessons and work part-time jobs. Eventually, we save up enough money for a graduation trip right as our acceptance letters finally arrive. Our brand new life takes another huge step forward. Before the semester starts, Tuavan actually texts me. Her very first question is asking if Bok Thuk Cam and I broke up. I'm just full of question marks. So I immediately snap a picture of our tightly intertwined hands and send it right back. She goes silent for a while. The typing indicator pops up for at least 10 whole minutes before she asks, didn't you want to go to the same city as her? I tell her no. I actually asked her to apply to Cydia with me. Realizing there is nothing left to say, Tuavan doesn't message me back anymore. You realize what's happening, right? I'm absolutely certain she regressed in time, and I finally understand her true goal. She wants to watch me choose Bok Thuk Cam, only for us to fall apart. We were supposed to live miserably, attack each other, and Bok Thuk Cam was supposed to cheat, revealing her true greedy nature for wealth and status. In the end, we'd end up completely broke and miserable. That's the exact ending she wanted to see, to witness, because deep down in her mind, I am supposed to be this misguided teenager, acting completely crazy and foolish over love. Back in our previous life, even though her heavy interference cost me Thuk Cam and left me living a painful lie for 12 whole years, she still arrogantly believed that all my future success was entirely thanks to her being so incredibly decisive back then. She had woven this entire grand delusion of saving a lost teenager for 12 solid years. But now, she has to admit that I probably never needed saving in the first place. And the fact that Bok Thuk Cam tragically passed away from the butterfly effect she caused, as a completely innocent victim, that is a reality she absolutely cannot bring herself to accept. After that, Tuavan never contacts me again, and Bok Thuk Cam and I peacefully step right into our brand new life. The university rules don't allow first-year students to move out right away, so throughout that entire first year, besides basic living expenses, we work incredibly hard to save up money. We want to find a rental place right between our two campuses to live together by our second year. Bok Thuk Cam even gets scouted by actual talent agents, shooting a few nice commercials. But honestly, she feels it takes up way too much of her study time, so she has absolutely zero intention of becoming a professional model. Instead, she just completely immerses herself in studying her psychology major. By our second year, my parents finally get a divorce, officially ending a miserable 20-year marriage where they just constantly tormented each other. I did not choose to follow anyone. I just split my own household registration entirely. The day I held that registration book, BGH the CM, and I went out for a huge feast to celebrate. Then we went back to my rented place, and I just cried my eyes out. The CM stayed right by my side the whole time, laughing and crying with me. She kept repeating that it was not my fault. I was finally free. When the tear stopped, I held her and fell asleep. The next morning, finally saw the message Thivian sent the night before. She heard my parents got divorced and said it was such a pity. I casually replied with a single question mark. I had no idea what she was feeling sorry for. Thivian did not text back. For the past 2 years, I knew she had been secretly checking up on us. She wanted to see us miserable, but every single sign clearly showed that we were actually incredibly happy together. She had waited so long for my parents to finally divorce. She could not wait to come running over. hoping to see me looking absolutely heartbroken and wrecked. Honestly, there was a brief second where I actually felt hurt. Not because they split up, but because I was terrified. I was the reason they stayed together for so long in the first place. Growing up, my only real memories of my parents were just endless, bitter arguments. They used the most toxic words to attack each other. Then they would turn to me, half joking, but mostly serious, saying they would have divorced ages ago if it were not for me. That exact phrase felt like a heavy chain around my neck. Over time, it just got tighter. I was terrified they would divorce the second I grew up, but also scared they would stay together and keep blaming me forever. It was BCH the CM who finally told me it was never my fault. She said my unqualified parents were just the ones trapping my freedom all this time. I always trusted her completely. In her 4th year, BCH the CM decided to study abroad. Her natural talent in the field of psychology was seriously off the charts. Her professor even wrote a glowing recommendation letter, really hoping she would push her research further. That was the very first time since my rebirth that we were apart for so long. A whole solid year. During that year, Thivian suddenly popped back up. She constantly used this super weird tone to ask how the CM and I were doing. Then she made up an excuse about visiting for her mom. She invited me out for coffee. Then she used this awful know-it-all voice, telling me I had a really terrible eye for people. She claimed her reputation back in high school was already total trash. She said, someone like her is just not the kind of girl I could ever handle. What reputation? I cut her off and fired right back. Thivian froze for a second, frowned, and told me to stop playing dumb. She said she refused to believe I had not heard those rumors. I nodded. I knew them, which is exactly why I knew they were totally fake. Now, I was curious. Why talk like you saw it yourself? Have you ever actually seen anything with your own eyes, Thivian? Thivian stayed quiet for a bit. She had never seen anything, but she was convinced someone else had. Otherwise, how could the locations be described so clearly? I gave her a pretty cold smile, totally mocking her. This part gets me every time. So, have you ever even been there? Did you ever actually ask those people? It is all just your wild imagination, making up shadows from random pictures. You did not even try to look for the truth. You have not even spoken 3 words to her, yet you blindly label her as some terrible woman. I looked right at her. Thivian, are you not supposed to be smart? Is your so-called intelligence only good for slapping nasty labels on other people? You have kept these fake rumors on your lips for years without ever trying to verify them. What exactly is your problem? Thivian has always been a walking contradiction. On social media, she constantly posts all these big slogans about independence and self-love, swearing up and down she only lives for herself. But her endless harassment toward me and BCH the CM, that never stopped for a single second, especially when she realized we were doing great. Her spying just got way more frequent. On one hand, she claims to want beauty for herself, while praying to every god that bad luck strikes everyone else. She has so much time and energy on her hands, yet absolutely refuses to spend even a little bit on finding the truth. Thivian practically ran away from that entire conversation. She went totally quiet for a while, then suddenly started posting all these things she called the CM's dark history. This included how her gambling-addicted father was beaten by debt collectors until he lost his mind, and is now currently wandering off to beg inside the local village streets. For Thivian, that became another weak point to attack the CM. She sneered, asking what kind of decent person could ever come from a family background like that. Is your family not supposed to be super decent? Yet did they not end up raising an absolute freak like you? After saying that, I blocked her number. Get this. That was already the 10th account of hers that I had to block. At first, out of respect for her mother, I did not want to target her, but that was on the condition she actually stayed far away from us, like she always claimed she would. But clearly, the pain of her own self-doubt made her absolutely desperate to find any proof that BCH the CM was a bad person. Too bad for her. The more she looked, the more she despairingly realized the CM was quite literally a flawless victim. After graduating, I smoothly got a job offer from an internet company in the UK that finally put an end to my long-distance relationship with BCH the CM. Our brand new life totally fell right into place. Those early days were super busy as we tried to adjust to a new language and a completely different environment. Luckily, having my girlfriend right by my side helped me slowly get used to everything. Life was so incredibly full and happy that I almost completely forgot about Thivian, right until she suddenly showed up out of nowhere. That day, Thuck Cam was out of town teaching a seminar with her professor, so I was home alone. I was just about to ask Tuaven to leave when she suddenly interrogated me. Lam Thu, you came back in time too, didn't you? That is why you avoided taking the wrong path this time, right? Her voice carried this desperate little spark of hope. She stared at me, practically begging. She was just waiting for me to nod so she could prove how amazing and heroic she was. I placed a hot cup of tea right in front of her and denied it. Whether it was me or Thuk Cam, neither of us ever thought about taking the easy way out of things. My main goal was always university, and Thuk Cam earned her success step by step, through her own relentless hard work. You just blindly believed stupid rumors and slapped labels on people, then used the excuse of wanting what is best for me just to satisfy your own twisted, selfish desires. What right do you even have to question someone else's genuine feelings? You honestly believe only your kindness is genuine, while everyone else has some kind of evil hidden agenda. Tuavan, do you really want to play the almighty savior that desperately? In my past life, after losing Bach, Thuk Cam, I completely skipped the university entrance exam and even gave up on living. Add to that my parents constantly dodging responsibility and arguing endlessly with each other. My spirit was just completely and utterly shattered. She dragged me back to her family home, shadowing me all day, fearing I would do something foolish. I tried to throw my life away countless times, right until Tuav found Thuk Cam's old diary, which simply read, "Please live a good life." She actually used those exact words to motivate me, insisting I had to fulfill that ideal of living a good life, just for Thuk Cam. She told me I was her absolute, deepest connection left to this entire world. Would you really have the heart to let her be forgotten? With that goal in mind, I gave absolutely everything I had to keep going. Tuavan easily became my absolute closest friend back then. I loved telling her stories about Thuk Cam, and every single time she would just smile in response. I genuinely thought she liked Thuk Cam too. But hold on, wait until the real truth finally got exposed. I finally saw right through the dark heart hiding behind Tuavan's gentle mask, and it was entirely carved with one single word: control. Now, getting to live this second life, she claims she will not repeat past mistakes, but in reality, she is still secretly hoping. She is hoping for me to lose absolutely everything, just so I fall right back under her. Complete control. No way, she suddenly mumbles to herself. Lam Thu, from the very beginning, the only person I ever truly wanted to save was you. I like you. The tea in front of her grew cold, but Tuavan kept rambling. The first time I met you, you were burying your face in my mother's arms, wiping away tears. You looked so incredibly fragile and helpless then, sparking this deep pity that made me fall for you right on the spot. I just wanted to protect you. Lam Thu, I am a woman, so do you seriously think I do not understand women? Sooner or later, Bak Thuk Cam is going to completely ruin you. I am the only one who actually treats you with genuine sincerity. You have to understand this. You must obey me.